welcome to the Psychosin Project here on Total Metal Radio. And with me today, I will be interviewing the Chris Broderick from Act of Defiance and formerly of Nevermore and Megadeth. How you doing, Chris?
Doing really well. Thanks for asking.
No problem. Now, you're gearing up to release your debut album with your new band Act of Defiance. What can people expect?
You know, it's one of those types of albums where I think all of for this CD at least, anyways, Sean and myself, our influences kind of came together, and it's in a big melting pot of metal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I tend to liken this CD to if we put on a show and people from death metal to thrash metal to progressive metal and every type of metal in between came to the show and just started the craziest mosh pit you ever saw.
Right, is that what you're playing for the live shows as well, to get a massive mosh pit going as well?
I hope so. You know, one can only hope, you know.
Yeah. Now, how did the band come together?
It was, you know, obviously Sean and I talking briefly after we left Megadeth.
Yeah.
And you know, we were really kind of bummed that we wouldn't be able to release the music that we'd written the past few years. You know, we're like, it's never gonna make it into the public's eye or anything like that. And so we started joking around about, you know, wow, let's release it. Yeah, let's just release it. You know, and then from there it quickly became, well, why don't we just put together a band and make a real go of this and, you know, make it something that's legitimate and that fans can grab onto and, you know, be a part of.
Yeah. Now, obviously, brought up Megadeth there. Did you feel there was a bit more pressure to make this album?
Are you there?
Yeah, can you still hear me?
Okay.
Yeah, okay. Now, talking about Megadeth, do you feel there's a bit more pressure to make...
You're cutting out again.
Oh, Christ. Hang on. Is that better?
I think so. It's hard to tell, you know. When you ask if it's better, then it comes in fine, and then when you go to ask the real question, then it's like something happens. So.
It might be Skype playing up. Is that sounding all right now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I think we're good.
I'll try this again then. Now, you brought up Megadeth there. Do you feel that there's a bit more pressure to make this album something special after your time in Megadeth?
I think we wanted to definitely show, you know, people that would be interested in this CD or any music that Sean and I came up with after Megadeth, that, you know, we were definitely heavily into the thrash, and we wanted to release a heavy metal album, you know, that I think that we've always wanted to play, you know.
Yeah. And
so it's not that we had anything really to prove, but we definitely did want to come out with something, I think, a little bit heavier than the stuff we'd been playing in Megadeth.
Yeah. Now, what would you yourself say is the difference between the music you're doing in Act of Defiance and your previous work with Megadeth and Nevermore?
Well, for me, it's all about the fact that I have say in it, you know, the fact that I have music input and creative writing, you know, that's what really matters, and that's, you know, 90% of the reason why Act of Defiance, you know, got started.
Yeah. Now, what are the plans for the future of the band, tours wise?
We're definitely working on booking some tours right now. We're looking at starting to get out there in the late fall and maybe even over into your neck of the woods by then as well.
Yeah, that'd be awesome, because I've definitely got to come and see you guys. Now, do you feel that you and Sean Drover make up a really strong backbone musically for this band style?
No, I think we're horrible. I think... No, you know what, I think, yes, I think it makes a really solid unit, because Sean is just, he's solid. He's always on the money, you know. He's not throwing anything out there that when you're playing live, you're gonna create a train wreck or anything like that, you know. He fills in the beat really well and is super solid, and then as far as working with him, he's easygoing. You know, we've toured together the past 7 years. we know what to expect from each other. You know, we're pretty easy to get along with, and there are no surprises there. So, yeah, I think we do make a solid team in that sense.
Yeah, yeah. Now, how was the writing of the album? Was it easy or difficult album to sort of write and make?
It was, I mean, in a way, it was really easy. The thing that was difficult about it for me is my own personal expectations getting in the way, you know. But, you know, we did it very democratically in the beginning. You know, when Sean and I first started putting it together and demoing songs, it was like, okay, well, let's do this 50-50, you know, between you and me, and I'll write half the songs, you write half the songs, and we'll bounce some ideas off of each other if anything needs tweaking or we have suggestions for each other. You know, we definitely presented them, but besides that, it was really democratic in that sense.
Yeah. Do you feel fans of your previous work will find Act of Defiance something that they will also enjoy?
I think so. I definitely think so. You know, whether it's fans from Jag Panzer or Nevermore or even Megadeth, it's like, I think there's a good mix of those styles in the music.
Yeah.
That I think people will be able to grab onto that and really like it.
What do people expect from the live show?
A lot of you know, hopefully brutality. You know, we're just gonna come and we're gonna bring the songs and we're gonna try and give them a really energetic live performance, and we want them to be a part of it, because for me, the crowd is really the ones who make the show.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna put it on them. It's up to them. see what they bring to the show.
So ideally, you want when you're playing the songs of literally the whole venue to become one massive mosh pit, if possible.
Absolutely.
Now, did you have it considering? Sorry, I'll start again, and this time in English. Did you consider having any guests on the debut album, or was this always going to be a statement of intent from just the band on the first album?
We had thought about, you know, maybe having some guests play on the CD, but in my mind, you know, it's like a guest is usually, it's like when you have a guest, sometimes it's like you're trying to fish for their audience, and that's not what we were really going for or anything like that. Yeah. So, you know, so I think we just decided we really wanted to establish it as a band and a solid unit on its own. You know, it wasn't going to be just another project that's looking for, you know, a few extra Facebook followers by getting somebody else to play on it or anything like that. You know, we wanted it to be a band and stand on its own 2 feet.
Now, obviously you've got the previous singer from Scar the Martyr in the band, and you've got Sean Drover along with yourself from Megadeth, and you've got the guy from Shadows Fall. Do you feel comfortable with Act of Defiance being kind of labelled as a supergroup?
I think it's silly to label us as a supergroup, you know. I mean, a supergroup, to me, at the best, it's just really, we're a bunch of guys that enough to have some exposure in the music world, and you know, the fact that we came together was really more a fact of us seeing the attributes in each other that we liked and we wanted in a band. So, you know, the fact that we're known or unknown is kind of irrelevant. And I hate the term supergroup because it implies that, you know, it's something better than the other groups, which, you know, there's so many tons of killer groups out there. I'll leave that for the audience to decide, you know, whether they, you know, so.
Now, where did the name for the band come from?
Well, it was really, you know, what I did was I threw up an online document and just had started throwing, you know, name ideas up there myself, and then Sean as well, and we started, you know, really toying around with, you know, a lot of different names. You know, it was just kind of like a think tank document, and we kept throwing names up there, and it wasn't, you know, a big priority to really come up with a name right away. So we kind of just, you know, every time an idea would occur to me, I would throw another name concept up there. and same with Sean. And then when it came time to choose, you know, it came down to the fact that we both really liked the name Defiance. And we looked online and looked around a little bit, and of course there's like, you know, 500 million bands called Defiance out there. So we were like, well, that name's pretty well taken, but if we add a phrase to it or a couple of other words, you know, let's see if we can come up with something that way. And the one that we really liked was Act of Defiance. You know, it's not, you know, it's kind of like singling out that individual act that you're doing and giving it its own life, you know. So
yeah.
I really like the name for that character and the way it came about. And one thing we were trying to avoid, which is very hard these days, is that we were trying to get a name that was just a single word. You know?
All the good ones pretty much taken nowadays anyway.
Yeah, exactly. So pretty soon, I'll bet you 20 years from now, that'll be, you know, the band will be like a sentence, you know.
Not far off now. I mean, you've got Bring Me the Horizon, and you've got some band called We Butter the Bread with Butter, which is a completely stupid name, but anyway.
Right. Well, I guess if you can remember it, then it's saying something about their marketing, you know.
Oh, yeah. Probably 'cause it's a bit random, to be honest with you.
Right.
Now, finally, do you have anything you want to say to the fans of the band and the future fans of the band?
I just want to thank them. You know, you know, there are a lot of great musicians out there, and not everybody gets the same opportunities that we have, and it's really all due to the fact that, you know, our fans support us. So, you know, I can't thank them enough for that.
Excellent. Well, Chris, well, thank you for giving us the time for the interview tonight, and despite all the technical problems we've suffered tonight.
Right.
And,
right. We did okay.
Yeah, we finally got there, finally. Ladies and gentlemen, Chris Broderick from Act of Defiance. Go check him out. Check out my review of the album that's on my YouTube channel as well. And Chris, thank you again.
Thank you very much, Ronnie. Have a good one, man.
You too.